What's up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of my podcast, Happy Days, with me, Callum Church. Now, today, I'm going to talk a little bit about comfort and discomfort again, and something which I've been thinking about recently, which I don't think many people actually consider. So I think this is going to be a really interesting episode of the podcast today. It kind of goes without saying that humans are far too comfortable at the moment in the way in which we live our lives, or many of us anyways. We know that all of growth comes through stepping outside your comfort zone and that kind of thing. So stepping out of your comfort zone is something which a lot of people talk about quite a lot, but I'm going to talk about some of the issues which happen when you don't step out of your comfort zone. I'm going to speak about one in particular that not many people talk about. It kind of goes without saying that the world which we live in kind of makes it so that it's easy to feel unmotivated, depressed, anxious, a bit foggy in the head and a bit unclear and just scared, uncertain and just vulnerable. We do feel vulnerable in the lives in which we live right now. But we don't really need to be, because there's not really many dangers out there in the modern world. We are far too comfortable. Everything is given to us at just the touch of a button. Think about it, like your food is delivered to your door straight away. You do all your dating online just through swipe with things like Tinder and those sorts of apps. What else is there? All of our socializing is just through a screen now. We don't really have any true human connection. It's all just straight through a screen. We have all this entertainment at our fingertips, like TV, film, video games. Man, that's stimulating as hell, isn't it? All of this stuff. And it's given to us so that we feel ultra comfortable in the lives in which we live at the moment. And as a result of this, we start to forget who we are. So to get you thinking and to kick off today's episode, I'm going to ask you a question. And I really want you guys to think about this, because I think it's quite an important one, actually. What are humans? Who are we? What are we as humans? Just think about that for a moment. Because what you may be thinking is that we are, fleshy people that walk on two legs and do their thing. Some people go to work, some people do different things, But what actually are we? When we get down to the core of it, what are we as humans? Oh, well, we're just the most intelligent, beings on the planet. Blah, 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 blah. We've built countries and civilizations and blah, blah, blah. But what are we, though? What truly are we? Because when you get down to the crux of it, we are animals, right? We are animals. And I know that sounds kind of weird saying that, because when you say animals, you don't think humans. You think, cats, dogs, cows, all your generic animals that you can think of. You don't consider humans as animals. If you were to say that, oh, this person is an animal, you'd say that, oh, they're really tough and they're wild, and they're animal-like, But through civilization and these kinds of things, we've kind of removed ourselves from that idea. Every single day we are getting further and further away from nature and the natural world because of these, concrete jungles we now live in, and all these cities we live in, and all of this stuff which is just given to us. We don't have to live in which we used to when we were ancient Homo sapiens, where we were animals, where we were more wild, and we'd have to go out and hunt and forage and, protect ourselves on the daily. So we are animals as humans, but we don't really consider this. And actually, we don't really connect with this either. And this is going to be what I'm talking about in today's episode. I'm going to be talking about tapping into and connecting with your inner animal. Because trust me, we all have it within us. We all have a beast inside of us which is lying dormant. And we don't tap into it. We don't use it. Through these comfortable lives that we live, it is easy to feel unmotivated, uninspired, and pretty weak and vulnerable in general. It takes the slightest little inconveniences for us to feel vulnerable, for us to feel weak, for us to feel timid, and for us to, want to run away from it all. And an example of this would be, cold weather, or a little bit of rain, cold water, these kinds of things. Just a little bit of rain and suddenly, oh no, well, we're getting all wet. We've got to rush inside. We've got to get out of this. And it was actually raining quite heavily this morning when I was doing one of my sea dips this morning with Jack. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll know about that, and if you follow me on TikTok, you'll know about that because I've been posting about it. Every morning I get up and I just jump in the sea. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. And maybe I'll talk about that later in the episode. But this morning I was just walking down to the seafront with Jack, and it started to rain. And me and Jack, we were just pansies, man. Well, I was anyway. I especially was. I think Jack handled it a lot better than I did. But I was just like, oh, this is so uncomfortable, this is horrible. I was all hunched over, gripping my backpack and sort of like slouching over to try and get my hood over the top of it to protect it from the rain. And we were getting soaked. I was walking down in my sliders. I wasn't expecting it to be raining or anything like that. And my feet was getting all wet. My trackies were getting all wet while I was splashing around in the puddles and such. And it was just an unpleasant experience. But I was such a pansy about it. And when you really get down to what it is, rain is just a bit of water, man. You're just getting a bit wet. I was going to jump in the sea anyways and go and get wet. And I tell you what, the hardest thing about that sea dip this morning, it wasn't getting in the freezing cold sea and immersing myself in that horrible, unpleasant environment. It wasn't even that. That wasn't the hardest thing. The hardest thing was just walking down to the beach and actually, it wasn't until I actually took my clothes off and got in my trunks that I felt a bit more comfortable when I was in my trunks. And it was because of this strange, weak, civilised human person that I am was just felt so vulnerable and uncomfortable in that moment, and the fact was that I just wasn't tapping into that beast. I find it kind of sad how we've gone from these ancient Homo sapiens who would have to hunt and forage for their food, so they might go days without eating. They'd be at constant danger of attack from bigger and stronger animals that are looking to eat themselves. All these sorts of things. They'd have to put up with the weather. They didn't have big houses or anything like that. They might live in caves or something, but for the most part, you'd just be out and about in nature, in the wild. And out in the world, you would be wild, and you would be at the mercy of the weather, at the mercy of whatever nature throws at you for that day, And then we've sort of become these civilized humans that are just so much weaker. And the fact is, nothing's really changed. We aren't actually that much different from the ancient Homo sapiens. Our environments are, our cultures are, and the way we live our lives is totally different. But who we are hasn't changed. We are still humans. We are still animals. And yet we're so much weaker just because of our environment. So basically, I'm gonna talk about how we're gonna tap into this inner beast which we all have inside of us, because we can use this beast, this raw power, this raw drive which the ancient Homo sapiens used to find their food and make it through those difficult daily lives which they lived. We can tap into that and use that in the modern world. Think about how powerful it would be if you had the drive of an ancient Homo sapien in the modern world, where things are, for the most part, given to you. Not everything, but for the most part, it's given to you. Think about how much you'd get done, how much you'd succeed, how great your life could be if you could tap into that same amount of drive which the ancient Homo sapiens possessed. Because let me tell you, you possess it as well. You possess that power within you. All you have to do is learn how to tap into it. So, Callum, let's cut to the chase. How do we tap into that raw drive of the ancient Homo sapiens? How do we tap into that raw drive of the animals, of the beasts? It's quite simple. We've got to change our environment slightly. And look, I'm not saying let's go live off the grid and go live like the ancient Homo sapiens used to, where they'd live in the wild and in nature and stuff. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is we need to get a lot more comfortable with discomfort. There's many positive reasons to get uncomfortable in your lives. I've spoken about so much from them on the podcast before, but another big reason to do so is the fact that you can tap into an inner beast, that raw power, that raw drive that's inside of you, and all you have to do to tap into it is get uncomfortable. What an incredible benefit of getting uncomfortable that is without any of the others, you know. I mean, there's loads of reasons to, you know, which correlate with like happiness and that kind of thing and success. But this raw drive is in our power to have that. All you have to do is get uncomfortable. So, you know, what I do to get uncomfortable, like I said earlier, I jump in the sea every morning because I want to get into that discomfort. I want to get used to being uncomfortable, and I want to start preparing my mind to be able to deal with discomfort, so that when life throws us unexpected chaos, unexpected, you know, pain even, which might come our way, I'm in a much better place to deal with that mentally, to deal with that when that does inevitably come along. Because if you spend your whole life being comfortable, you know, wrapped up in your metaphorical blankets of instant food, instant entertainment, instant everything, you know, the modern world, the luxury of the modern world, you know, when it does come to pain in your life, which will inevitably come, you know, that's just a fact. Pain will come in your life. When that hits you, you're going to be absolutely blown away if you don't get more comfortable with discomfort, you know. And it might sound stupid saying, you know, if you jump in the sea, you'll be able to deal with pain much more. But once you do these things and try these things, you will understand, trust me. And look, you don't have to jump in the sea. You could just go for a run. You know, you could lift some heavy weights or something like that. I'm sure if you guys are runners or if you go to the gym often, you will understand what I'm talking about when I say the inner beast. When you're lifting weights and your back and the back of your head is against that bench and you're doing a really heavy you know, bench press, like chest press. When you are underneath those weights and you are pushing as hard as you can to get those weights up, that raw power within you, that raw drive to lift those weights and push them forwards and away from you with every single rep. When you're really struggling in those moments and it's heavy ass weights and you are pushing them, you're struggling, you're trying hard, but you're doing it. You're doing that through the raw, animalistic, beast power which you have within you. When you're out on a long ass run, however far you're running, and you are struggling, but you know that with every step that you take, you are closer and closer to home, you are tapping into that beast once again, because everything in your mind will be telling you, stop, Callum, just slow down for a bit, have a walk, you know, just stop, maybe stretch or something, just take it easy, get your breath back. But no, when you keep running through that discomfort, even if it starts, you know, raining or something, or even if it gets super cold, super dark at night or something like that, you know, what gets you through that, you know, partly, I suppose it is the runner's high, but it's that raw, animalistic beast power within you that gets you forward and gets you through that. And we can apply this in our daily lives easily. You just have to get to know and get to understand that beast within you, that raw animal within you, because, you know, we've spent so long being comfortable that we've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten that we're animals. We've forgotten that we are powerful beasts when it gets down to it. And, you know, you might think I'm stupid for saying the word beast, but what is a beast? I mean, a beast is an animal, no? So why can't a human be a beast, you know? So what you have to do to tap into this raw beast, you have to get to know it. You have to get to know who they are. And the only way in which you can do that is by spending more time with that inner beast which you have inside of you. And the only way to do that is to get uncomfortable again. So that's what you have to do to tap into that beast. You know, it's quite funny how there's always more to give as humans. You know, they say that we use only, I think it's about 30% of our you know, total muscle power. They say that we only use like 10% of our brains and stuff like that. And it gets you thinking, like, we have got so much more to give, and yet we cut ourselves short. You know, we use 30% of our muscle power. How often do you even use all 30% of that anyways? You know, I'd probably say that most people probably only use about 10% of their muscle power, if not 5, you know, because if you're not, you know, working at the peak of your ability, you're not even getting to that 30% at all, you know. So we have so much more to give. And it kind of reminds me of a conversation I was having with my girlfriend Jess the other day. And I've got her permission to talk about this story, so don't worry. But we were talking about the sea dips, and Jess was saying to me, you know what, Callum, I kind of fancy giving it a go. I might come along with you when we do the sea dips. So I was like, yes, awesome, that is so cool. We'll do the sea dips together and stuff. But then she said to me, oh, I do get quite cold though and stuff like that, so I might only go in for a little bit and then jump back out again and then warm myself up with a towel. And I was disgusted. I was like, hell no, babe, you are not doing that. Because the whole point of the sea dip is to immerse yourself in there. You have to stay in there for, at least 5 minutes, at the very least 5 minutes. So I was saying to her, in a really bad impression, which I will not repeat, but I quoted Yoda from Star Wars, and I said to her, do or do not, there is no try. And I know that might sound a bit stupid, me quoting Star Wars, right? Like the total nerd that I am. But I said to her, in a terrible impression of Yoda, do or do not, there is no try. Because that's what it's all about with these sea dips. You don't try. You have to do it, and if you're not going to do it, don't even bother, because just trying will not get the benefits out of it. You will not tap into that inner beast if you just get in and get out. You'll go in as the weak, civilized human that sometimes we see ourselves as, and you'll come out still the weak, civilized human. We want to be the uncivilized beasts, we want to be the animals, and the only way that you can do that is by staying in the sea, immersing yourself in the sea, not go in, say, oh, I've done it, and then get out again. No, you have to go in there, you have to stay in there, and you have to use that raw power that you have within you to stay under that water, to stay cold, to stay freezing, and it gets you through that. If you beat your brain, then you tap into the beast, So that's what I was saying to Jess. Do or do not, there is no try. If you want to tap into the beast, you have to go full in, 100%. So Jess will be going 100% with me. We will be jumping in the sea. And I will make sure that she stays in there, because we're going to tap into our inner beasts and we're going to do it. There's power. We can wield it. We can tap into it, and we can use it anywhere in our lives. Heck, I even used it for planning this podcast before I just started recording it today, because I was becoming a little bit unmotivated. You can use it in your daily lives, whatever you're doing. If you're going through pain, if you're struggling in your life, if you feel unmotivated, if you feel undriven, if you are struggling at whatever task you're trying to do, tap into that beast, get to know the beast, meet the beast, become the beast, and you'll be able to do it. So with that, that's all that I have for today's episode. I do truly hope that you guys did enjoy it, as always. If you did, please consider leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because it does truly help the show. Also, follow me on Instagram. I want to hear from you guys. Drop me a DM. Let me know what you thought of the episode. My Instagram handle is @callum.g.church. And don't forget to follow me on TikTok too. My TikTok handle is @CallumChurch5. So with that, that's all that I have for today's episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. So there you go. That's the end of the show. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe on your podcasting app of choice, so you can download and listen as each episode is released. If this episode helped you in any way, tell your friends, tell your family, maybe even leave a cheeky review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps the show. But that's all for now. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next episode, released shortly. Take care.